It's week 10.
We finally hit double digits.
That's right. What's that from, Kyle?
Oh, man, I can't remember.
Varsity Blues? 10. She's a 10. No?
God, I haven't seen that in so long, bro.
Woo, neither have I. It's literally the only line I remember from it, but it's a good one. So
how long has it been since I saw that?
I don't know. I don't know your life.
Oh, no. What year did that even come out? Like, I feel like it came out when we were teenagers, and that's probably
Varsity Blues came out in 1999.
Okay, so I was 13.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, it's when they find their teacher at the strip club, maybe something like that.
Probably wasn't long after that was the last time I saw it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, probably same. Honestly, like that's literally the only part I remember from it. Anywho, it is a week 10 already. Now things are kind of getting spicy in those playoff runs. Now it's getting to where it's really starting to matter, right? You've just got a few weeks left because most play through what, week 14? You got 15, 16, 17, or should be your playoff weeks. So you've got 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. You got 5 weeks to win that playoff spot, and that's not a lot. So you are 2/3 of the way there.
Yeah, we're past the point of, I started slow, but I have time to turn the ship around. You don't. It's time to start winning ball games, or you're not going to make the playoffs. And you got to get out there and trade, man.
Yeah, that's the thing is that's what I was going to go with that is it's time to start making trades, right? You've got teams who are they're definitely not going to make playoffs. You've got your teams that are definitely making the playoffs, and you've got your middle bunch. Now, what we've talked about is this year's really strange, right? There's not much division. You may have 1 or 2 teams at the top, and then it's just a blob of teams that are all in playoff contention. Then maybe you have 1 or 2 that are maybe not in.
In a 10-team league, teams 3 through 8 are within a win of each other.
Oh, yeah.
It's wild. It's all based on points for, and then it's like,
It's frustrating and nerve-wracking. Now, what sucks about that, multiple things. We mentioned trading. It makes it hard to trade because no one's selling their players.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's still hanging on to their players. On top of the fact that players are so deep all of a sudden. Players are so deep, it's hard to get a trade now. Everyone has a starting QB that's good enough, top tier. Everyone has a tight end that's good enough. No one's really standing out, right? You may have a couple tight ends that are kind of standing out, doing good, so those guys ain't moving. And those guys are on your winning teams, most likely. Everyone's got plenty of running backs. Everyone's got plenty of wide receivers and flexes because you've got guys like, Tillman coming out of nowhere. DeAndre Hopkins is out there again. Like, you have so many wide receivers. Everyone's 4 deep at wide receiver. So no one's looking to trade. It makes it really difficult. Even with all the injuries we've seen. It's been a frustrating year yet, right?
Yeah, and it creates this situation amongst teams in your league where the top 2 teams aren't wanting to trade their guys because it's winning. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The bottom guys don't have anybody to trade you in the first place. That's why they're in last place. And then that group of 6 in the middle that are all vying for that spot within a win of each other, they don't want to do anything that could possibly, mess up their chances of getting in. They don't want to help an opponent. So it's like, I'm just going to ride out what I got and play the waiver wire and hope I can edge out some of these other guys to make the playoffs. And so, yeah, it really, really hampers your trading for sure. But now's the time you really got to stay vigilant on the waiver wire and start looking at your roster and start evaluating some things. Look at who you have left. Look at how many buys you have left.
Mm-hmm.
Start looking at, okay, this guy is just a handcuff. Is he going to be valuable if my guy gets hurt or if anybody else gets hurt? Is he, can I get rid of him to get maybe a lottery ticket off of waivers that may do better down the line, may have a shot? You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
start looking at some of those things. Maybe go find a defense that has a good playoff schedule and stash them. That's sitting on the waiver wire, that maybe one of these streamers has dropped.
Yeah, I'm finding a hard place. I'm having a hard time finding places to stash players because, again, the leagues are so deep, right? The players are so deep now, and there's so many injuries that I'm hanging on to people for these short-term IRs and stuff. I don't have enough roster spots to just stash people. Also, what's up, Jorge? Thanks for popping in here. Nice to see you. Come hang out with us. I like it. So there's not really places to stash these people.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're keeping handcuffs and stuff, maybe you don't need anymore, or just guys you were holding for depth for, bye weeks that you don't really need anymore, and there's someone with maybe more upside out there. It's okay to drop these guys now to go get the higher upside guy for down the line.
Yeah. So this is when you start consolidating that roster, right? And because most trade deadlines are also kind of coming up, kind of passing,
Usually 11 or 12. Week 11, week 12 is when the trade deadlines are in these fantasy leagues.
So, yeah, as you're shaping this roster, like Kyle said, drop some of those handcuffs that you're not really going to need or need, use anymore. Unfortunately, Brian Robinson and Eckler, right? McCaffrey, you're still hanging on to Mason. Etienne, Bigsby, you still got them, it's kind of annoying. Some of these you're still going to have two. You're still going to have Najee. Yeah. So a lot of these teams you're still going to have two. But there are some out there that obviously you're not. You don't need Kenneth Gainwell backing up Barkley, right? Speaking of Barkley, did you see his backward hurdle this weekend?
Dude's ridiculous.
My God, I've watched it so many times from so many angles.
My favorite angle, though, is from behind the Eagles sideline.
Yes,
does it, and the whole sideline is just like, what?
Yeah, it was wild.
I love that. That was my favorite one.
So screw the Eagles, but love that. So anyways, you're consolidating these rosters. This is when, if you're going for a playoff run, you start overpaying for players that you want on your playoff roster, right? So you may have a good amount of running backs. You may have a good amount of wide receivers. Start consolidating those. You can overpay some of those teams that are still pushing for that playoff spot, right? Maybe you can give them two pretty solid players for their one and help them through their bye weeks, help them through their injuries, and try to get them to the playoff. Well, they're trying to get to the playoffs, but you can help them get to the playoffs. Convince them you are helping them get to the playoffs by giving them these multiple players and do 2-for-1s, 3-for-1s. I mean, this is your time to do it right now, is to start looking for those types of deals.
Yeah, 100%. But
all right, go ahead.
Start finding a good example this week with the horrible trade of Dallas going and getting Mingo from the Panthers. There's a young gentleman there on the Panthers named Jalen Coker who's been playing really well, who now is the number one receiver on that team. Go pick him up. Maybe he doesn't continue it. Maybe he's another Cedric Tillman league winner. You don't know. But he's worth picking up over some of these other guys that you're sitting on that are getting minimal points every week.
Coker's still the number 2, though, right? Legette's the number 1 still.
Oh, yeah, but he's hurt right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, but his value still goes up because there's obvious rapport there between Coker and Bryce Young as well.
Yeah. Now, I have a question. You brought up Tillman. How long-term do you think this is? Or do you think it's just, for the rest of the season, and then he kind of becomes a nobody, and he's just having a little spurt, and that's kind of it? Or, if you're in a dynasty league, is this something you're kind of looking at?
If I'm in a dynasty, I'm selling. And I'm selling as soon as possible. He's had 3 big games, one against the Chargers this last weekend, which is a pretty tough matchup.
Yeah.
I'm selling because I think he will be pretty good the rest of the year. I don't think their schedule's horrible. But as you go into next season, they've still got Judy, which they just got at the beginning of the year. He's still kind of working his way in, never worked with Winston. But, I think they'll end up drafting another guy or, grab another free agent this offseason. Tillman isn't the wide receiver one there long term. He's just not. He's not that kind of talent. If he was, he would have cracked the starting lineup before everybody, before Cooper got traded.
Yeah.
So,
no, I agree. I agree with you. Alrighty. Let's get to some of these questions over here from Jorge really quick. First of all, he's 9-0, which is insane in a league. That seems impossible this year. So congratulations.
sounds like it's about to be a third year in a row of him owing us a cut of some winnings.
I tell you, and all he has to do is subscribe to the Fantasy Sports Advice Network and help support. And then he can get in on some jersey leagues and help out. We're not helping you with your jersey league, though. If you come on, you get in a jersey league next year. I'm not helping you with that crap because I want to win those jerseys. So that's
not if you're in our jersey leagues.
That's right. Yeah, I'll help you in another jersey league for sure. But anyways, you can support us by going to fantasysportsadvice.network, signing up for a social media network, and then Jorge, again, we've told you this 8 times, man. You go on the computer to sign up. You can't pay through the app. The Apple App Store and Google Play Store will not allow it. So, with that being said, Kyle, how about we go ahead and play that little commercial and let people know more about this app?
Let's do it.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty cool app.
I love that beautiful bean footage.
It is really cool, though, and there's lots of advancements coming, a lot of new tools coming on there. So go figure it out, Jorge. It works pretty much just like Facebook. So we've made it as simple as we can make it, man. I don't know how to make it simpler, but that's okay. We'll get you on there. Okay, first of all, 9-0, amazing. 4-5, still in the playoff run. You're probably right in the middle. You might still be eligible for the playoffs. Let's see, 7-2, fantastic. You're having a great season, and
you got 2 championships and 1 on the fence.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You just got to make the playoffs, man. Then anything can happen. Okay, do I pick up the Lions or the Vikings D? Let me see. Why is that logo just so over that? That'll be better. Let's do that. All right. I pick up the Lions and the Vikings D. I have the Steelers D. Just have 2 for better matchups. That Steelers D does have a bad matchup it's not.
I don't love the Steelers D matchup this week. The Vikings against Jacksonville, I love. Vikings have been playing good D.
Yep.
Lions have been playing good D. I don't know who has the better schedule for defenses going forward.
Who are the other ones? Oh, the Lions. No, I'm going Minnesota there.
I'm going Minnesota this week for sure.
Yeah,
honestly, looking at their schedule, I like Minnesota's schedule a lot.
Yeah. Same.
Let's look at the Lions' schedule just for fun.
And if you have the roster spot, I don't mind just picking up both of them, keeping them both on there, and
the Lions have a bit tougher schedule. So grab the Vikes, and then just rotate them in the Steelers. You're gonna play the Steelers 90% of the time, anyways.
Probably. Yeah. But the Steelers matchup this week, it's rough. It's rough.
Honestly, the next 2 weeks, because the Baltimore game will be tough too.
Yeah.
Then you got Cleveland, Cincinnati, Cleveland again, Philly, then Baltimore and KC in the playoffs. But where did that go? The Vikings playoff schedule, Chicago, Seattle, Green Bay. That's not horrible. Let's see, what's the Lions playoff schedule? Buffalo, Chicago, San Francisco. Yeah, grab the Vikes.
Yep, that's what I do. Alrighty, let's see here. Did I mess up by trading Sutton away for Eckler and Waddle? Yeah,
Yes, sir,
probably. Now I say that in your defense, Eckler, as long as Brian Robbins is out, Eckler has some value there. Like I am having to play Eckler right now in place of Brian Robinson. And so if you're deep at wide receiver and you needed Eckler to get you through a bye week or an injury or something so that you could win, understandable. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices, but Waddle has been worthless this year. And it's heartbreaking because I love Waddle, but he's been worthless, and it's sad.
Yeah, in a vacuum, I would have rather had Sutton. But like Corey said, if you really needed a running back and Sutton's far enough down your wide receiver depth chart anyways, I can work with that. Yeah, Waddle's basically waiver fodder this year, and it's sad. It breaks my heart because I like Waddle.
So sad, dude. All right, let's see. Are any of these guys worth picking up? Akers, Herbert, McMillan, Robinson, Mike Williams. I guess it depends on who you're dropping, but probably not. Maybe McMillan, maybe.
I would think about McMillan, and he hasn't been great, but like this last week, tough matchup, right? He's kind of working into that role that Godwin gave up, and I think he gets more and more comfortable. Baker can't just keep only throwing it to Otten. McMillan's going to have to get involved, and I think he will. He's one of those high upside guys I was talking about at the beginning.
Yeah.
So that would be a nice little stash if you got room for him, because I think in the coming weeks you're going to see his numbers start to climb.
Agree. Now, it's tough. He's got Kansas City, San Francisco, then a bye week. So that's a pretty rough 3 weeks coming up. Or I'm not excited about them.
They just played Kansas City.
Oh, yeah. Why is this not updated? Sorry.
We got San Fran and then a bye. But then they come back against the Giants, the Panthers, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Cowboys, the Panthers, and like that is a fantastic schedule.
Yeah. Now, he does have the reason is because he didn't play. That's why it's not showing. It's because he had a hammy problem. So that's why Sterling Shepard had such high usage.
I think he's a great stash for after that bye week.
I agree.
Choice.
Yeah, because he's probably – he's not going to play this week, I would think, against San Francisco with a hamstring issue. I'm guessing they're probably not going to risk it considering all the issues they've had. And he'll probably come back, like you said, Giants, Panthers, Las Vegas. Oh, yeah. Sign me up for that run. The Chargers is his hardest one he's got left out there. And apparently you can still throw against the Chargers. So
yeah.
And if anyone's going to, it's Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, and we were talking about guys to trade for too, and like if you watched Wall Street last week with the professor, he mentioned Bears receivers have the best remaining schedule for wide receivers over the next, the rest of the season. It's looking like Tampa Bay is a close second. So if you can trade for a guy like McMillan, sneak in and get a guy like Evans, who's hurt now, but he'll be back. That matchup's great. Adunze, if you're in a shallow league and he happens to be sitting on waivers, snatch him up. He had a great game this week. Those are the kinds of moves you're looking for at this point in the season. If you're looking like you're going to make the playoffs, start trading for guys that have that easy playoff schedule.
Yep. Let me see here. I don't know how to subscribe. Oh, yeah, we already told you. It's not hard to use. People use it all the time. Yeah. Get on a computer to if you're going to sign up as a pro member. And don't forget, next year we'll have our Jersey Leagues. We'll have a call for Jersey Leagues. You can get in on that. I made a post earlier, not very far, maybe 30 minutes before we went live here, about our Jersey League. I got the Justin Tucker Kicker Plus league going on. And Jason Boltz is in the lead in there. He is the number 1 seed. So he is 7-2. Yep.
You know why? Because Tony's not in there for him to trade all the players to.
That's right. That's what it is. Yeah,
I hope we both see this too.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. I'm trying to find his team right now. It is doing quite well. Let's see. He's at the top of his division because it's my first time commissioning, and I accidentally made divisions, so that's fun.
I made the same mistake. I noticed it like week 3. I went and looked at the standings. I was like, "Oops, I forgot to change that."
He's had a pretty good run. He has like Josh Allen. He has Baker Mayfield, who he's been starting on and off. Bucky Irving's coming on. J.K. Dobbins has done really well for him. Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Malik Neighbors.
He's got all 3 of those guys?
Kenneth Walker and Brian Thomas. These guys have just been tearing it.
I'm talking about those receivers, though. He stole Neighbors because nobody thought he'd do good.
Well, that's the thing. Now, his wide receivers, right? Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Malik Neighbors. So he went with those guys first, right? Those are his early round picks. His running backs have just worked out. J.K. Dobbins was a late pick, right? Javonte Williams. Kenneth Walker was up there, right?
Kenneth Walker was getting drafted lower than he's performed this year, though. Everybody 100%. He was like a top 5 guy easy, and then last year his value takes a little bit of a hit because of Zach Charbonnet. This year they were drafting him based off last year's numbers, when he was kind of banged up and things, and he's exceeding those this year. He's proven to be a second round running back this year, and you were getting him in the 4th and 5th round.
He was able to take. Kenneth Walker in our league at 601.
What?
Now,
well, y'all were taking kickers in the first round. So.
Kickers were going in the first round in this league, right? Because they are some of the highest scoring ones in the league. So
I'm curious because I don't think I ever asked you this. You're only allowed to carry 1 kicker on your team, right?
Correct. Yep.
Did you drop Brandon Aubrey on his bye week?
I did not. I took the L. I took the L on my bike
before and forgot.
Yeah. I took the L that week. That's just I had to. Also, we got Albert in the house. What's up, Albert?
You can always count on Albert to pop in.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see. Jorge, 4 and 5. I have Hurts. Okay, you can see all that there. I don't know what to do. I play the 9-0 guy. There's a 9-0 guy in there. Jeez, Pete. I'm not in a single league where someone's undefeated. Not a single one.
We were until last week in Scotty's league when I beat Stevie.
Oh, that's right. Stevie was. Yep.
I like this team. I think it gets a boost, obviously, when CMC comes back. You do have Mason, but, man, I'd work on those receivers some, I think.
Pittman's been a real letdown.
Use Irving and put him with Pittman or Waddle and go try to get an upgraded receiver. Or Pitts. You got McBride. He's crushing it. Put Pitts with Irving or one of those receivers, some combination of those guys. Go get you a nice stud receiver to pair up with Hopkins.
Yeah, I like that.
Find a team that needs a tight end. So use Pitts. Everybody will trade for Irving, or honestly, I'd probably try to trade like Eckler or Bigsby first. But I'd be okay getting rid of Irving if you had to. And then one of those receivers that just get you a stud receiver, man.
Yeah, Kamara CMC is really solid. You're going to want to hang on to Mason because you don't want to take any chances of dropping him or doing anything stupid.
Honestly, you might not even have to trade Irving. If you can use Pitts and Waddle or Pittman to get you a stud, I think you can. If you find the right guy that needs a tight end bad enough, I think you can. That'd be my goal in trades ASAP.
Yeah.
Before your trade deadline hits. I don't know when it is, but
I'm sad about Waddle, man. Because honestly, here's the thing. That roster, Pittman and Waddle right there, are big letdowns because you should have been performing better here. Honestly.
I do think Pittman with Flacco will have better games going forward.
I agree. If he can stay healthy, then he'll have better games.
And Addison's had a couple of decent, couple of decent games. Like put Pitts with Addison or Waddle and just see what you can get.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to need a tight end pretty bad.
Yeah, and Jorge, hit us up later in the week with your roster. Over on the network, you can post pictures of it or whatever, even, and hit us up over there, and we'll try to help you with like your final lineup. If you're having a hard time deciding between some of those like Pittman, Waddle, who are you going to play at flex or something? Hit us up on there. We'll help you.
Well, and here's what's nice about being a pro member of the app too. You're not limited on the number of pictures and posts you can make.
Yeah,
and stuff like you have been previously.
Yep. You can post to your heart's desire. Let's see. What kicker do I pick up? Is Moody coming back? Is he finally?
I'm not sure. But I'm probably grabbing. Well,
Dicker.
Good play. Tennessee. Who does Q play? Nollins, Bass. Plays Indy. I'm not going to do Moody just because I don't know if he's back. Excuse me. I kind of like the Q versus New Orleans.
I like Q or Dicker. I
don't think Los Angeles struggles enough against Tennessee that they have to kick a lot of field goals. I think you'll see more extra points. And I kind of think that's what's going to happen with Buffalo and Bass, too. That's kind of why he hasn't been that high scoring this year. He's been scoring touchdowns, and he's only getting extra points.
Right.
I think the New Orleans defense this week against Atlanta, who is a division rival, I think they come in fired up. They've been ticked off all over social media this week after losing to Carolina last week. I think they come in ticked off, play Atlanta pretty tough. I could see Koo having to put some work in this weekend.
Well, Koo scored 20 points against New Orleans in week 4.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit.
Yep.
I was thinking that Tennessee.
They're in New Orleans, too, so they're also in a dome, so that makes for nice kicking conditions.
Yeah, I was thinking that Tennessee could be solid against the run. Chargers are run first, may end up stopping them a little bit, forcing them into some field goal situations. But Koo obviously does well against New Orleans. Like you said, it's indoors. I like that. Yeah, I think that's probably the right call. Koo there is the right call. All right. What type of guys do I target? I think that's going back to.
Yeah, we did. We answered.
Yeah.
We'll get receivers.
Jeremy. Let's see. Need 3 running backs. Okay. Team Kyron, Tracy, Dobbin. Oh, what a.
These 8 leagues are too bad. You're right.
Good Lord. That is a good problem to have. It's half PPR. Okay, let's see.
CMC's not due back this week, is he? Is it next week, or is he supposed to be back this week?
Week 10, possibly, yeah.
I don't think I'm starting him right out of the gate, though.
Well, not if you have these other options.
Because
against Tampa, it could be so good.
It could, but God, that makes me nervous playing a guy with the issues he's had in the first week back. That makes me so freaking nervous. And like you said, especially with these other options.
Yeah, I mean, Kyron and Tracy. Dude, I think you have to play those two.
You have to play Tracy against Carolina. No brainer. Kyron, you're never benching.
That's Brian Robinson, I'm guessing, since he's coming at the end.
Yeah, Brian Robinson.
Against Pitt, coming off an injury. He may not even play. Still not sure.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's a horrible matchup, even if he does. So, yeah, Dobbins against Tennessee. It's a tough matchup, but we've seen Dobbins do well in other tough matchups. So they're not impossible to run on just because they're tough. They're not impossible. The Chargers are really good at running the ball, so I'm playing those 3 in the middle there.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything to keep me off of Dobbins here, because he also catches the ball quite a bit, or enough to keep him relevant. So
he does.
Yeah, I think I'm doing the same there. I think I'm going with the 3 middle. It's going to be so hard to sit CMC, and I understand that.
The only way I'm playing CMC this week is if because he's still on. They still have to activate him, right? Or did they activate him already?
I think they had 3 weeks to activate him. I don't think they've activated him yet.
I want to see at least one full practice out of him.
Yeah.
Before the weekend. Like, if he's just limited all week, I'm not starting him. That means he's not
they've opened the 21-day practice window. But that's the thing is, like, if he comes back, they're bringing him back, like, against a great matchup, right? Like, this is the perfect game to just let him go out and do it.
When do they play? Oh, they play at noon, too.
Here's and is Mason still going to be out? I'm not sure.
Here's what you do. Kyron and Tracy, you're starting no matter what. Look at your matchup. If you look like an underdog on paper,
that's what I was going to say.
Play CMC. If you need a safe floor just to maintain what should already be a victory, play Dobbins.
Yeah, that's where I was headed with that too. I was going to say, if you need that boom to kind of get you over and you're going to lose and you can afford to risk it or you need to risk it, take the gamble and do it. But if you need to play it safe, I would not play CMC. You can afford with those other backs. You can afford to sit CMC there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would do as well. Jorge had the Vikings kicker. Yeah.
Goes on IR. What was his name? Ricard? Something like that?
Ricard or something. Yeah.
He went on IR? I missed that.
I think it's if he goes on IR. I don't know that he did.
I have him in like 5 leagues. So
it's Will Ricard. Moved to IR as official now. So
okay, I guess I got to replace some kickers tomorrow.
Yeah,
he was doing good too, man.
For the right price, Aubrey can be yours in our Roll Tide League, Kyle. Cheers to that. All right, let's see. Jeremy, should I drop Butker and try and get Aubrey or Boswell?
Either one over Butker, yes.
Here's the thing. Do you like Aubrey now more with Dak Prescott out?
I do, because as bad as Dallas is in the red zone, we're going to be even worse now, especially with no CeeDee Lamb possibly for a week or two. All they got to do is
Kyle. They have Mingo now, so they're fine.
All they got to do is get it to midfield, and Aubrey can make it.
I mean, honestly, that's true, which is wild. So I'm going
on fire too because that offense is rolling. So these are like 2 of your top 3 kickers, I think, right now. Like, either one of them is better than Butker. Butker hadn't done nothing because the Chiefs aren't putting up Chiefs-esque points this year. And he's just not scoring that many points for you.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I like Boswell, but I think Aubrey's looking pretty solid going forward.
I think the boosts him even more, like you said, with Dak and maybe CD being out. Like, it's an even bigger boost, I think.
Yeah, I agree completely. Okay, that's all the questions for now. So I want to shift gears for just a second, and I want to run through some waiver wire pickups really quick that you might be targeting before we wrap up the stream. It's a busy night. People are busy watching other things going on in the world, other happenings. So we might wrap this one up early tonight. But no problem, Jeremy. You're very welcome. Thanks for popping in here. Come back anytime and visit us. All right. So really quick, one that I'm interested in, who's a little annoying, but seems to have been dropped and is available a lot out there, is Taysom Hill. I want to discuss this guy because you want to talk about a very, very frustrating player. Because it feels like every time I put him in my lineup, he gets no points. And when he's on my bench or out there on free agency, he's racking up 20 points. Is Taysom Hill worth going and picking up right now?
Yes. With Shaheed done for the year, Olave is going to miss at least a week, probably multiple weeks. Probably two, maybe even 3. It looked pretty
possible
gnarly.
With his second and 4 weeks. Ooh, that's rough.
Pretty gnarly. So he could miss some time. Carr's back. Kamara's there. That's literally all they have on offense right now. And you saw this last week where Taysom Hill was involved because of that. So definitely worth picking up the next couple weeks. I think he's going to be pretty heavily involved. I think they're going to lean on him to do some things to make up for not having those receivers.
I agree. I think they're going to have to get creative and try to move the ball. I think we already saw that this week. And so I agree. I picked him up, and right before games this last week, I just had a feeling. I went and picked him up, and then I'm playing him in my flex this week. So I think that's going to work out pretty well. Do you have anyone you want to talk about in particular? If not, I can move to my next guy.
I think I mentioned him earlier already. Jalen Coker for Carolina. I really like as kind of a sneaky pickup if you need a receiver, if you're hit hard with injuries here, this time of year or even a bye week. I think he could be a pretty nice little stash guy. Trey Benson is another guy. I think if he's still on your waivers, he's a nice guy to stash. I think they're going to start trying to preserve Connor as we get later in the season, start splitting that backfield up a little bit more. And then if Connor goes down, he's, probably a high-end RB2 with no Connor in the way. So those are a couple guys I'd be looking to maybe pick up and hide away right now.
Yeah. Mike Gesicki is someone that's interesting to me. He's kind of a late bloomer here, I feel like.
If he's still there. He was a pretty popular pickup last week.
I feel like too many people. He's out there in most of my leagues. I don't think enough people believed in it. And now that he's had another week, I feel like people are going to be going after it.
We play in a lot of leagues, too, where people aren't always out there watching content and stuff. A lot of our colleagues in the, fantasy football space were touting Gesicki all week last week. A lot of people picked him up. A lot of people had him. If you're in a more casual league and he's still out there, though, yes, for sure, pick him up.
Well, he's rostered in 22% of sleeper leagues and started in 11%. So he's not a highly owned guy.
That is way too low. Come on,
I agree. But you got to think he hasn't been performing at a high level this year. And all of a sudden, here he is. He's here. So, all it took was a couple injuries, and here he is. That offense is starting to kind of come together a little bit. They're trusting Chase Brown a little bit more, finding their run game. And now they've discovered Mike Gesicki. Love that. So Gesicki's a decent player. He's athletic. So they should have been using him more. They weren't. I feel like the Bengals always underutilize their tight ends.
Well, Gesicki's been underutilized his whole career. He was in Miami. They didn't throw it to him. He was a great receiver in college. He was in Miami. They never threw it to him. Then he went to the Patriots where they didn't throw it to him. Now he's in Cincinnati where they weren't throwing to him, and now they're figuring it out because they need him.
Well, here's some icing on top, too, is that I believe Eric All is headed to IR. So their backup tight end. So he's kind of on his own there. The next one is Tanner Hudson, Drew Sample. Not worried about those guys. So Gesicki's kind of it there at the tight end. So I'm liking him if he's still available out there, which in most leagues it's sounding like he is. What do you think about Justin Herbert? Not Justin Herbert. Khalil Herbert, sorry, getting traded today. I know there's going to be some people asking about that. He's kind of there as just to fill in with Zach Moss being hurt, probably, right? Not really worth having.
When Zach Moss healthy, he's going to jump right back over him on the depth chart. Khalil Herbert's literally just insurance.
Yeah.
That's all he is.
In case
Chase Brown gets hurt.
That's essentially the role he was playing in Chicago. Mm-hmm. He was playing that role in Chicago. Now he's playing that role in Cincinnati.
I like it less for Herbert. I like it more for Roschon Johnson as far as being like the clear number 2 behind Swift now.
Yes.
If something happens to Swift, I think it boosts Roschon's value.
I agree, because I feel like before, even if Swift went down with an injury, you were like, well, crap, now which one do I plug in?
Yep.
And now it's going to be pretty clear.
Pretty obvious now. Yeah, for sure.
So I like that. Trying to think if there's any other guys. I mean, I know earlier we were telling you it's kind of time to start guys like Algier. Are you still keeping Algier as a handcuff, or is it time to start shedding guys like that, even though he has a really, really high upside?
I'm hanging on to an Algier.
Okay.
If there's a guy where the guy in front of him goes down and he's a high-end RB2 or borderline run back 1 because of that offense, Algier's flashed that upside.
Yes.
I'm not dropping that to waivers. I'm not taking that chance.
I agree.
But if you're holding on to, like in Washington, we saw a 3-headed monster. Like, yeah, Eckler's got some upside, but like Jeremy McNichols, if you got Kyron Williams and you
Isaac Garendo for San Francisco.
Garendo for San Fran. If you're holding Blake Corum for the Rams, like there's a bunch of guys like that where I'm just not hanging on to them.
100%.
And so, but there are the ones that I would hang on to.
Bigsby you're hanging on to. Jalen Warren you're hanging on to. Algier. Now Roschon Johnson. Roschon Johnson, I feel like just went from one of those that's like
Roschon Johnson.
Now it's like, ooh, never mind, hanging on to him.
Zach Charbonnet is a guy I'm still hanging on to.
Yep.
But like Antonio Gibson,
yep,
you can get rid of him if I'm, a Stevenson holder.
Yeah, because he's shown that even if Stevenson goes down, Antonio Gibson's not.
Well, you know what? I'm like, honestly, I'm almost to the point of like a Tyjae Spears you could probably get rid of.
Oh, yeah, I'm not hanging on to Tyjae Spears. He's wasting a roster spot. Yeah.
You can get rid of him. Yeah, but like, and I'm kind of on the fence with Raheem Mostert too.
Oh, I think I'm keeping him.
Like, I think I'm hanging on to him, but like.
Okay, what about when Zach
Moss played so well too? I think we could.
But Mostert's still getting his, man. But okay, now what about like a Zach Moss when he comes back? Are you hanging on to Zach Moss, or is he
Honestly, I'd probably drop Zach Moss at this point because we're 5 games out from the playoffs. He's on IR now, right? So
Chase Brown is the
Chase
guy.
Brown's fired. Like, I'm not worried about Zach Moss. No.
Yep, I agree. Okay, let's get back over here to the chat real quick. Okay, Jorge wants to know, do I trade Jane Daniels Harrison for a legit, maybe like Connor and Dell? I have.
Nah, you can do much better than Connor.
Yeah, Daniels and Harrison should get you.
You can get Connor and Dell for Harrison alone, and you can get more than that for Jane Daniels alone. That's a horrible deal.
Yeah, do not do that. That is not good enough. Oh, Jorge, you the best. That's too open of a question, Jorge. Just saying, like, we don't know.
Find someone doing good and go for it. Like,
yeah, we don't know the league as simple as the roster, so it's really hard. Okay. Frizzle wants to know, pick up Jennings or Quentin Johnson off waiver, or drop Pop Douglas to get both. I would not drop Pop Douglas. Jennings, though, I like Jennings.
I would grab Jennings for sure. Quentin Johnston, he has some performances here and there. I still don't have a lot of faith in the guy.
I would not.
I don't believe him in him enough to ever start him unless I'm in like a 14 or 16 team league and you just don't have options. Like, to me, I can't.
I trust Pop Douglas more than I trust Quentin. Like, that's the reasoning there. Johnson could have some weeks here and there, but you don't know when that's going to be. I'm not putting him in there. And I'm liking some of Pop Douglas's matchups later on down the line here a little bit more. So as long as Drake May is in, I like Pop Douglas more than Quentin Johnson. So
honestly, I'd rather grab a Jalen Coker over Quentin Johnson.
Yeah, I would. Now, I would probably do that, but still, for me, not over Pop Douglas.
Not over Pop Douglas, though, no.
Or Jennings. So pick up Jennings for sure. Quentin Johnson. No, and I'm not dropping Pop Douglas. Are you dropping Pop Douglas for Jennings though? If you have to,
That I would do, yeah.
that's tough.
But he doesn't have to. It sounds like. So.
Yeah, you don't have to, but I'm thinking though, like
if he had to, though, yeah, I would do that.
I don't know if I'm doing that though, because Pop Douglas is the obvious like number one wide receiver, number two catching option or receiving option. Catching option? What kind of? Anyways, at least I caught it. I need more sleep. All right. So, anyways, hopefully that was helpful there for you. Let's see, Jorge. Do I try and get Pickens, Adams?
Jorge, you have to make some decisions for yourself, bruv.
I mean,
just go look at a list of guys that are playing well and pick.
I mean, I like both of those guys. If I do like those guys. I like both of those guys.
Are we talking about the Harrison Daniels one, or are we talking about the one from earlier again?
I'm still thinking about the other one from earlier.
The Pitts and that one, right?
Yeah.
Pitts and Pittman. Or Pitts and...
Now, between these two guys, do you like Adams or Pickens more?
Oh. I like them about the same, if I'm being honest.
I know. I'm kind of thinking the same. Like, I feel like...
I don't feel strongly one way or the other.
I feel like Pickens still has less competition for targets than Adams.
I would rather target a guy like Devontae Adams or Drake London, maybe, to these two.
Well, this is Devontae Adams.
I meant Devonta Smith. Did I say Adams?
What?
Did I say Adams? I meant the Eagles receiver. I meant Smith, yeah.
I was like, Devontae Adams instead of Devontae Adams.
Well, I was thinking Smith, and I guess I said Adams. I didn't realize I said Adams till you said that.
You were probably like, what are you correcting me? What?
I was so confused for half a second.
Yeah, no, I like
Devonta Smith, Drake London, Zay Flowers. I don't hate these two guys. McLaurin.
Maybe if someone's still somehow not a believer in Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, BTJ. I would shoot for him too. DJ Moore. DJ Moore is another sneaky one I like with his remaining schedule the rest of the year.
His schedule's great. Yeah.
That's a pretty extensive list. That's the group of guys I'd be targeting.
I don't know, man. DJ Moore has got me. Didn't he? He just walked off the field the other day, right? He's the one that walked off the field?
Yeah.
He hobbled off the field. I thought he hobbled.
He pulled up a little bit. I don't know what happened. I saw one clip one time. I don't know for sure, but
just be better.
I love his schedule, and he's a good player.
That dude is
killing it right now.
Who's killing it right now?
You might be able to buy a little bit low on Marvin Harrison too.
Yeah, but he owns Marvin Harrison, right? Well, maybe not in this league. I can't.
Not that league.
Yeah, different league. I have a hard time keeping all his roster straight, but yeah.
Well, because he intermingles the questions among them.
Yeah, it's so confusing. So confusing.
Come on, Jorge. Quit testing us, man.
Okay. Would you rather start May or Murray this week?
Who does May play? I forgot who May plays.
And Frizzle, don't feel bad. Your next question isn't a no-brainer either. So I feel like you're doing all right. So, Kyler Murray pissed me off this week. I should have went with my gut. And started Bo Nix over Kyler Murray, and I didn't do it, and that pisses me off.
I didn't start Murray anywhere.
I lost the matchup. I asked, and everyone was like, "Oh, you start Kyler Murray over like a Bo Nix or anything. He's matchup he'll still be able to do it." And nope, he screwed me. So he
handed the ball off for 3 freaking touchdowns. One to his tight end. Even the tight end got a rushing touchdown. You can't throw it to your tight end.
I know, man. I'm annoyed by it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm annoyed. So
I think you still got to start him over Drake May. Drake May doesn't have a great A
Not against
Chicago. Rookie against Chicago makes me nervous. I know.
Well, look at what Kyler Murray just did against Chicago's defense, which was nothing. Why would I start Drake May against that same thing?
Dude, he's going to hand it off to Stevenson, just like the last 2 games. Stevenson has 2 touchdowns in each of the last 2 games. It's probably going to happen again this week because the Chicago defense is going to get after Drake May. And I know Murray's matchup against the Jets isn't ideal, but teams have shown you can move the ball on the Jets.
Yep, I agree. Okay. Also, probably a no-brainer, but start Otten or Ferguson this week.
Otten, 100%. I don't even know who they play.
They play San Fran, which you can throw against the tight end.
You can throw to the tight end on San Fran.
Dude, but and Ferguson's playing Philly, but with Cooper Rush, Ferguson's gonna and no CeeDee Lamb, probably still hurt CeeDee Lamb even if he does play. Ferguson, man, he's gonna be that safety blanket. We saw when we saw it at the end of the last game. Cooper Rush was throwing it to Ferguson over and over.
Our offensive line sucks.
That's why they got to throw it quick to the Berg.
Dak Prescott couldn't get the ball out into Ferguson. I don't believe Cooper Rush will either. Otten's on fire. He's still the only receiver they have on that team. I'm rolling Otten.
I agree.
The rest of the year, matchup regardless.
Right. Okay, so I'm playing a little devil's advocate there, but
that's the wrong show, Corey. You're on the wrong show.
I'm just saying Ferguson, pretty good matchup, or not a good matchup. I mean, a good option there. I like Ferguson, but not over Otten.
I can make it feel more like devil's advocate.
I don't need all that.
I'm just saying.
Put your tissue away. I don't know why it was so hard. Anyways,
sorry, I was having a little Kansas City PTSD there. Sorry.
There you go. I do like Ferguson moving forward, but not over Otten. Yeah. Otten's just a go, man.
Same. That's a good way to put it. I do like Ferguson, but not over Otten.
Yeah. That's the Pittman. Yeah, he's talking about getting Adams, or Pickens. I think though Adams is going to cost you more than a Pickens, even though I feel like their value's kind of the same. Adams just has that buzz around him, being back with Rodgers, blah blah blah. He's just going to cost more than Pickens, who is pretty undervalued. Pickens is pretty undervalued. So,
and now he's jumping back to the other league again. No, DJ Moore in the Pitts one. You can still get you can get a top 10 receiver for Jaden Daniels because you're giving them one of the top quarterbacks in the league. If they're trading for QB, if they're trading for Jaden Daniels, make them pay for that.
Yeah, I traded for Jaden Daniels in a league. I had to trade Patrick Mahomes and Tank Dell. And this was to a Kansas City Chiefs fan. And I still had to give Tank Dell with them. So anyways, with that being said, you can get way more for Jaden Daniels.
Now, if you get DJ Moore and another piece that you need somewhere, whether you need them to use or need them to trade, it doesn't matter. But you get better value than that for Daniels.
It's not enough. It's definitely not enough. All right, guys, as you see down at the bottom, if we haven't gotten to your question tonight, then you can always join us over on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. It's a social media network dedicated 100% to fantasy sports. We don't talk about politics. We don't talk about your friends' kids' vacations or what they cooked for dinner, their CrossFit workouts. We don't give a crap about any of that. So come over, hang out with us, talk ball. I'm going to run a commercial for you real quick, and then we'll come back and answer a couple more of these questions in the chat before logging off. Stick with us.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
All right, guys, come hang out with us over there. You can sign up on the website. You can download the mobile app. We're adding more tools and more fun things weekly, pretty much. It's nuts how it's growing. All right, let's get back over here to the chat and answer a couple more questions before logging off. We got Ishmael. Let's see. Or Ismail. I don't know. Ishmael sounded way better, though, so I'm going with that. Is Dak a drop, even though sweet schedule coming off the playoffs start week 14?
I'm not dropping Dak, no.
I am not dropping Dak.
You'd have to actually really need that roster spot. Otherwise, worst case scenario, it's a defensive hold, so nobody else could pick up and have him with that sweet schedule come play
in that playoffs. You put him in your IR spot. I wouldn't drop him, dude. Like Kyle just said, it's a defensive move at worst. I don't want anyone else having that schedule with him at the end when he comes back. I just don't. All right, let's see. Assuming my claim for Jennings go through, I start in flex, but if not, do I start Leggett or Pop Douglas at flex this week?
Leggett if he plays, Douglas if he doesn't.
That. Agreed. Let's see. All right, one more here. I have Laporta and Ferguson. What do you think about Taysom Hill?
I wouldn't drop either of them for Taysom Hill. They're going to be better season-long options, but if you have an extra roster spot and can pick up and use Taysom Hill this week, I absolutely would do that.
If you lost Dak, get Taysom Hill, run him in your QB spot. Just kidding.
Boom.
I mean, kinda.
Kinda. More than kinda.
Because I like Ferguson, and it's hard. Okay. I know we're supposed to be logging off here, but Laporta, Kyle. What the hell?
He's just not getting any targets. The problem is with that
damn ball.
And I know we talked about it a little bit last week, but they're running so efficiently. They're just not throwing that much. And even Jameson Williams isn't popping off every week, so it's not because of him that Laporta is not doing good. Amon-Ra St. Brown, if he doesn't score each of the last 2 weeks, he has completely horrible fantasy days. And we're talking about a consensus top 5 receiver here. The targets just aren't there. Half their targets are going to running backs every week. Instead, it's crazy. Monty and Gibbs are going bananas. And the receivers are struggling because of it.
Yep, it's sad.
But they're dominating these games.
Yeah.
Their defense is playing great, and they're running the ball, and that's how they're winning. And that's just,
I just never thought I'd see Sam Laporta sitting at the number 18 tight end.
No,
I just never thought I'd see it. And we're talking about a guy who was going in the top 3 rounds of drafts. Just total distance.
He was borderline consensus number 1 dynasty tight end all summer coming into the season, and now it's I don't know how you justify that. We're over halfway through the season. He's still only getting a couple of targets a game.
Yep, I agree.
It's so bad, so bad.
Yep.
It's beyond the fluke at this point.
Yep. All right, one last one, just because it's going to be easy, because we already talked about Khalil Herbert earlier. As you worth scoop, got an extra bench spot in Chase Brown. How much fab would you all recommend? If you have the extra bench spot and there's no one else better out there, pick him up. I wouldn't spend hardly any fab on him, though, because
I wouldn't spend any at all.
I mean,
can't get him for free. I'm not losing sleep.
I might spend one just to make sure someone else doesn't put a $0 claim out there, maybe. But that's about it, because when Zach Moss is back, Zach Moss is going to be the number 2 there. He's not going to overtake him. He's just an insurance policy right now. That's all he is.
Yep.
And so, all right, that'll do it for our Week 10 weekly kickoff show. Guys, join us throughout the week. We have so many live shows, so many pre-record shows. If you haven't liked this video or subscribed to our channel, make sure you do so, and don't miss any videos coming out. We'll have multiple live streams, including one right before Sunday kickoff. So join us there. You can also join us over on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network website. That's fantasysportsadvice.network. And we will answer some questions over there pretty much 24/7. So that'll do it for us this week. Y'all have a good one, and good luck on waivers tonight.
Good luck on week